I'm curious, yes or no, I'd like to go down the row. Do any of you believe Iran's line, which is this is simply for domestic power, or do you think that they are in the process of making a nuclear weapon? Yes or no?
No.
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 There's really no way of knowing.
Yes or no?
Yes or no? Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Campbell. Okay, we are going to move along and turn our attention to issues at home. And I don't think there is one person in here who is not concerned about the state of our economy. And boy, do we feel it here in Metro Detroit more so than I think anywhere else in this country. If you've traveled anywhere, Chicago, New York, Dallas, whatever, you don't feel the full oppression of our economy like you do the minute you step off of Metro or a plane at Metro. So, if elected, what do you do? What do you press for? And how do you fix this? And how do you bring dollars back to Michigan? Mr. Campbell, you're first up this time.
The first thing we need to do is look at different tools for measuring the economy. The gross domestic product, for example. If I could wave a magic wand and eliminate, say, divorce, the gross domestic product would actually go down. Now, I don't think anybody would argue that eliminating divorce would be a good thing, but yet, as measured by the GDP, it would be a bad thing. It would be a detriment to the economy. We would have couples no longer maintaining two households, no longer driving dozens, hundreds of extra miles in a week's time. So we need some sort of measure of the wellness of the economy. We need to abandon the gross domestic product. Then we need to start channeling resources toward things that actually help people. We need a national health care policy like most of the Western world has. We need to repeat that success of the Western world. We currently have a system that gives away 30% overhead to CEOs, to bureaucratic inefficiencies. We need a streamlined single system. We need to look at productive labor. We need to be increasing the value of labor. We need to pass an Employee-Free Choice Act. I seem to remember the Obama administration promised us that, but in the 2 years they've had control of the Washington agenda, that hasn't happened. And I'm being red flagged already, so...
Thanks, Mr. Campbell.
We can talk later.
Mr. Raczkowski.
Yeah, actually, this still has a foreign affairs implication, because if the United States is weak and we have an economic meltdown, we will never be able to stand by our allies. So not only does this have a policy impact economically here locally, but it does have an impact on all of our allies across the world. If you jump on usdebtclock.org, it shows our debt today at being $13.6 trillion and our GDP being $14.6 trillion. Government doesn't have an income problem. Government has a spending problem. 43 cents of every dollar we are borrowing today, we're borrowing from these so-called friends of China. And folks, they are manipulating. We need to cut back things that we do not need, strengthen our spending in the areas that we should be spending on, and we also need to give tax cuts. Instead of billions to Wall Street, AIG, and Goldman Sachs, we need to allow you to keep more of the billions in your pocket so that we can stimulate moms and pops and stores around all of Farmington Hills and throughout our country. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out that if you take more to the government will give us less. But if we give more to you, we will grow more and develop more. And that is why America has been the greatest nation in the world.
Yes, Congressman from Chrysler, but you are getting hammered on your votes on the bailout and everything else. Tell me, what do we do? And did we do the right thing? Because you were the one sitting in the chair.
The question was would you restate the question?
Absolutely.
I think you just took it a different place. And I love to address what you talked about, but I think you took the question a different place.
Well, the number one issue is the economy. If elected, what do you do to bring more money home to Michigan, and what do you do to get us back on the right track?
It is the number one job, and it's about talking about specific policies that we have to do. It's not about rhetoric or sound bites. So we've got to be solving problems that we're facing here with our small businesses, our entrepreneurs, our engineers. That has been my focus over the last 2 years and will continue to be it going forward. In particular, where the engine of growth is for Michigan is our small businesses. That's where most of the jobs are created. Now it's where they're going to be created going forward. Small businesses need to have an environment that allows them to prosper. They face a number of challenges right now. One area that I've focused on, because I'm in talking to small businesses every single week, I'm back talking to owners as to what their challenges are, and one thing that I heard over and over again was the lack of lending, that they simply couldn't get the loans that they need to add employees, to make improvements to their business, to add inventory. You need to have cash in order to run a business. It's why I work on the small business lending bill, which recently passed, was signed into law, that will generate about $300 billion of lending activity to our small businesses. This is not hollow rhetoric. This is tangible changes, tangible address to a serious problem that we have to have, and that's where I come as a businessman. It's not about rhetoric. It's about you have a problem, you got to figure out a way to solve it, and then you work in a bipartisan way to actually get legislation passed. That's what I did. That's what I'll continue doing.
In the early 2000s, when I had my doctoral students, my master's students at University of Michigan, I asked them why they were in class. They said they couldn't find jobs. By the time they got done with their program, there would be jobs. These days, they can't find jobs. They don't want to find jobs and become degraded. But as I indicated in my model, we have the means to turn things around. The lay of engineers by the big three, Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors. These people can be put to work to do what? Invent new ideas. Government doesn't create jobs. Universities and academicians and the students come up with inventions. And what do we see? Businesses commercialize the product. Government is the one that lays down policies for the product to be implemented and sold in the US as well as other countries. The model that I was looking at is that the government has the money and the power to set up policies. We want accountability. We want money given to the small businesses to concentrate on alternative energy so that they are focused on foreign energy, which is actually making us to fight wars that sometimes are not necessary, can be put to rest. I know businesses, I know investors who want to come to our district to invest.
Thank you, Dr. Kofi. Before I let Mr. Raczkowski do a rebuttal, I would like to do a quick yes or no down the road. Do you believe the federal government did the right thing in bailing out the banks as well as the auto companies? Yes or no?
If I had a yes or no, I'd say yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Dr. Kofi?
Yes.
Absolutely no.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Raczkowski, you wanted a rebut.
It's just a short one, that if you're for small business and you're from Michigan, Gary, how could you vote? How could you possibly vote for cap and trade?
Mr. Peters, I'm next, would you like to address that?
Well, obviously this brings up a whole new series of questions, which I'm happy to do. We have time to do that, saying he just throws that out, we'll be happy to do that.
We want to hear.
Well, very good, excellent. Well, it is...
Listen, you rabble-rousers out there, pipe down. Go ahead, Mr.
Well, it is about comprehensive energy policy. It's what we need to have in this country. In fact, we can say a lot of the issues that we're dealing with, what's happened in the economy, is the fact that we haven't had a comprehensive energy policy in this country. We've had administration after administration that has failed, both Democratic administrations, Republican administrations. As long as I've been alive, we've talked about energy independence so that we stop sending billions and billions of dollars over to the Middle East and other places outside of this country. We've got to have comprehensive energy legislation. That's what the energy bill is. It's about making sure that we're focusing on alternative energy. We're looking at solar, we're looking at biomass, we're looking at nuclear, you're looking at wind, all of those energies that